All right, Madly Mesozoic dropped a couple days ago. We're talking about hyenas in the Triassic. Should be interesting. Let's see. Let's talk about it. Low key, my prediction is, yeah, they would thrive, bro. They would be fine. That's my prediction with no backup.
Ladies and gentle swords.
Literally nothing to back up that statement. No real reasoning. I just feel like they would.
Welcome to Assessing Survival, the series where we take creatures from both our world and fiction and place them in different periods throughout history, as well as in different realities. In today's episode, we will be placing the spotted hyena, Crocuta crocuta, in the Triassic period, specifically what is now South America during the late Carnian and early Norian epochs. I will be using 4 different categories to assess the hyena's ability to survive. The scores for these categories will then be added up for a survival assessment score. 1 to 3 being that they are unlikely to survive and may go extinct, 4 to 6 being they are likely to survive, but with great or moderate difficulty, and more than 7 being they
they might be at like a 6.5.
Only will survive,
or 7.
No difficulty. And towards the end
6.5 or a 7.
Speculate on how the animals may change or adapt to better fit their environment, regardless of their score. So without any further ado, let's start our assessment.
Let's see.
Today, spotted hyenas inhabit sub-Saharan Africa, but they are most well known and abundant in the Serengeti, where temperatures will rarely rise above 27 degrees Celsius or 80 degrees Fahrenheit. The area of the Triassic we'll be looking at specifically was a moist, subtropical, and volcanically active floodplain that would have been much different from the rest of Pangaea at the time. Here, we would have seen average annual temperatures of anywhere between 25 to 30 degrees Celsius, and possible peaks of above 35 degrees Celsius during the summers. The late Carnian experienced a period of increased rainfall that brought seasonal monsoons to coastal regions like the Archipelago. These brief wet seasons featured lush vegetation in floodplains and river valleys, while the rest of the year was much drier, which isn't too unlike the Serengeti, which also experiences hot wet seasons and cool dry seasons. Though the Archipelago was much hotter on average, and the swings from the wet seasons would have been far more dramatic. Good thing is, spotted hyenas are surprisingly adaptable. The thickness of their coat will change with the environment they find themselves in. In hot regions like the Kalahari Desert, their coats may become so thin that they look hairless from a distance. And in the winter, regions, they will
I've never seen them in the winter. I didn't know they got that thick. That's crazy.
Shaggy winter coats. However, they are not well adapted for long-term high humidity, as we see spotted hyenas inhabit all of the most tropical regions of Africa, like the Congo. But
that makes sense.
Are most active during the latter hours of the day and into the night when it's cooler. During the hot days of the Triassic wet season, they can make use of the shade from more abundant foliage and water to cool off. They should be okay in the dry season. A significant portion of their water comes from the food they consume. They also have highly efficient kidneys that concentrate urine, reducing water loss to retain what little moisture they may get in droughts. In the environment suitability category, they receive a score of 6.5.
See, we're already doing good. We're already doing good.
Hyenas have a pretty negative reputation, being known as cowardly lowlives who wait to steal the kills of more noble predators, mostly thanks to films like The Lion King. Contrary to popular belief, they're not just scavengers. Sure, they do plenty of that, but they're actually very active hunters. In some areas and populations, more than 80% of what the hyenas eat, they killed themselves. And it is instead far more often that lions will steal kills from hyenas.
Talk about it, bro. All that propaganda, bro, making them look like thugs. They're not really thugs, bro. They're not.
Heart is 2 to 3 times the weight of those of lions by proportion, giving them pretty incredible stamina, which, when combined with their extra long legs, allows them to sustain speeds of up to 60 kilometers per hour in order to chase down prey items over vast distances. They have some of the strongest jaws of any land-based carnivore. Their bite force clocks in at around 1100 psi or 4500 newtons. While this is certainly useful in a combat or hunting application, it's more fully put to use in scavenging behavior, as this amount of pressure can only be applied by the rear molars. The scavenger traits that spotted hyenas do have are probably ancestral, as most of their living relatives like brown and striped hyenas are solitary scavengers. The hyena's stomach fluids are some of the most acidic among vertebrates. This acid allows them to quickly break down bones and meat from rotting corpses that few other animals will eat. In terms of size, adult hyenas can be as large or larger than even gray wolves, the average individual being somewhere between 54 and 58 kilograms, with the largest of individuals weighing up to 86 kilograms or 190 pounds. Spotted hyenas live in groups called clans, which range in size from as little as 6 to as many as 100 hyenas. These clans are matriarchal, meaning it's females that are in charge.
Okay.
Though males aren't
I didn't know that.
drastically smaller than females, they are far more timid. And this is because females, for whatever reason, have more androgens than them, and even have reproductive organs that resemble those of males. And because I want to stay monetized, that is the only time I'll be mentioning it. These insanely competitive clans are made of matrilions, a family group ruled by the eldest alpha female. Her offspring are ranked right beneath her, and their offspring beneath them, and so on, with everyone trying to constantly display their strength to keep their ranking. This intense and complex social structure is obviously indicative of some serious intelligence. In fact, hyenas often match or exceed the scores of other intelligent social animals like apes and dolphins.
I also
in
didn't know
different tests
that.
and experiments. Now, in most other episodes of Assessing Survival, where we place a mammal with a social structure in the Mesozoic, it's a serious boost for this category. However, like with the orcas, there are certain situations where it could be detrimental. And I think this is especially true for our hyenas in this circumstance. The Game of Thrones-y style competition between hyenas within their own clan is going to handicap the rate in which they can reproduce in this new and unfamiliar environment. As much as 25% of hyena cubs that die before reaching a year old are killed by their mother's rivals. Those litters consist of 2 cubs that will often fight for the right to nurse their mother first. And it's not uncommon that the stronger sibling will kill the weaker one. Statistically, 50% or more of all hyenas born will not make it into adulthood. Along with the infighting, the size of some of these clans could be more of a detriment than it is a strength. We're unsure of exactly just how diverse and abundant life was in this area during the Triassic, but as far as we know, there's no evidence that any of the predators exhibited social hunting, and if so, certainly not to nearly the same degree as modern pack-hunting mammals. This
Makes
leads me to
sense.
believe that the introduction of an animal like hyenas would overwhelm and decimate the ecosystem. To wrap up this category, we'll
So
talk
they'd be
about
invasive.
how hyenas communicate with one another with a variety of different noises. One of the most important noises they make is called the whoop. A whoop is a loud, long call that they use to communicate over long distances, and this whoop is unique to the individual hyena. Of course, no sound is more representative of hyenas than their iconic giggle, although this is no laughing matter. Hyenas make this laughing sound when they're under high amounts of stress or overexcited. For an animal that's unfamiliar with those sounds, hearing them from all angles in the dark of night, this would probably be incredibly intimidating. In the strengths and weaknesses category,
popped up late.
they receive
Whatever.
a score of 6 out of 10.
Still good. That's still pretty good. That's not too bad.
Let's start with the
Cerebral 6.5. Come on, that's my prediction.
Biosaurus, Lasemsaurus, and Silosuchus. These animals are more or less on par with the megafauna seen in Africa today. Not crazy big by Mesozoic standards, but still pretty big.
Okay.
Even with their numbers, the largest healthy prey item that a hyena can take down are water buffalo, who at most weigh 2,000 pounds or 900 kilograms. And all of these formerly mentioned large reptiles weigh at least 2,000 kilograms or more, so they're likely off the table in terms of hunting. Just below these animals in size is
Which you would think.
an enormous dicynodon.
Had the cursor in the wrong spot. You would think that in that case, you know, their clan style of, you know, living in packs would help because like strength in numbers. You know what I mean? But I guess not.
That would have been pretty common in the area. They were about
I guess
3.5
not.
meters or 11 feet long, weighing close to 2,200 pounds or 1,000 kilograms. These guys would have been
It's probably
sort of
easy to
the weight
shake off.
equivalent of water buffalo for hyenas. There are plenty of smaller animals for them to feed on, such as Hyperodapodon and Chiniquodon, as well as other archosaurs and dinosaurs like Pisanosaurus and Eoraptor, but none of these animals are going to be a staple for groups of hyenas. Today, they most often prey upon animals like wildebeest, zebra, and kudu, and they've got a good number of options for this weight class. There's Jackalaria, Coloradrisaurus, Aetiosauroides, and Exoratodon. All of these animals would be reasonable prey for hyenas. To conclude, while they may not be able to take down the largest of herbivores, they won't have a hard time finding food. In fact, quite the opposite is true. The region's common prey items are not equipped to deal with these types of predators, and they may end up overwhelming the ecosystem. In the prey items category, they receive a score of 8 out of 10.
There we go. Competition's going to be a little
Most
tough,
competition
though.
will be coming from other active predators.
It's gonna be tough.
There's no evidence for any large, dedicated scavengers in the area, but it's worth mentioning that most animals would probably scavenge opportunistically, just like any carnivore does today. Here in the
Since been
Triassic,
debunked.
there are going to be 2 predators that will be their primary threats. Herrerasaurus was the largest predatory dinosaur of the Triassic, potentially reaching lengths of up to 6 meters or 20 feet, weighing almost 800 pounds or 360 kilograms. Though their bipedal body plan is good for forward agility agility and bursts of speed, it wouldn't have been great for being surrounded by a pack of hyenas. They just wouldn't be able to pivot and turn as quickly as a quadruped could. Herrerasaurus had
I was about to say that big tail wouldn't help him out, swing it around like a club.
Set of forelimbs. Their claws would have been twice the length of a lion's claws, and if the force behind these swipes is even on par with that of lions, they could very well take a hyena out with one shot. Even with a massive clan, a direct conflict is not ideal. Rather, hyenas should take advantage of the fact that this animal would be entirely unfamiliar with the noises they make. Most vertebrates this early on, including dinosaurs, probably didn't have vocal capabilities past hissing or bellows, so these whoops and laughing sounds that hyenas make would be completely alien. But as the hyenas become more common and adults learn that it's all shits and giggles, there's really no stopping Herrerasaurus from taking their kills away from them. Saurosuchus was a massive predatory pseudosuchian.
This was hard, but it looks so tough.
And one of the largest land crocs to come out of the Mesozoic. They were the apex predators of the ecosystem, feeding on those larger herbivores like Silosuchus. They reached lengths of up to 8 meters and potentially weighed up to 2,500 pounds or 1,100 kilograms. I think it's pretty evident that there is no scenario in which hyenas come out on top in a conflict with this hulking beast. Think a pack of coyotes versus a grizzly bear. Actually, think a pack of coyotes versus a really, really big grizzly bear. Or you know what, just think hyenas versus a giant f***ing dragon. Perhaps a larger threat than any other animal in the Triassic are going to be the hyenas themselves. If you think the competition within the clans is intense, just imagine what it's like between rival groups. This clash of clans can almost resemble medieval military. Are going to be the hyenas themselves.
What was that?
If you think the competition within the clans is intense, just imagine what it's like between rival groups. This clash of
Hog Rider
clans can almost resemble medieval military conflicts, lasting for hours or even days with periods of high intensity, interspersed with strategic retreat and regrouping.
I put way too much effort into this, man. LOL. Yes, orcas are whales. They are dolphins, but dolphins are also whales, so orcas are whales. I will not do humans in the Mesozoic because it does not fit into the lore/timeline for the ARG that none of you have caught on to yet. Check the My Other Channel section of my YouTube page. That is hilarious.
Especially earlier on, could be detrimental to the survival of the species as a whole. In the threats and competition category, they receive a 6.
That's actually not as tough as I thought it would have been.
Which brings us to our survival assessment score.
Okay.
When combining the scores for all categories,
let's see, pretty 7. Honestly,
final score comes out to 6.6 out of 10.
Bro, come on, bro. I didn't rewatch either, by the way. I didn't.
Just barely.
I know these things.
They managed to receive a pretty respectable score despite the many challenges they faced on the way up. The only thing keeping them back from getting a higher score is the climate as well as themselves. The intense competition just within their own social structure is going to make the road to establishing themselves a pretty bumpy one. And the power gap between them and the apex predators of the area is much wider than it is with them and lions in Africa. If these animals were to survive past the late Triassic, it would give some serious implications for the fossil record going forward. But because I'm not God, I can't possibly conceive just how much the world would change in the span of this video. But
not for real.
I can come up with some neat spec evo for the immediate time frame following their introduction.
Let's see. Make them breathe fire.
Rioja, or the Argentine hyena.
Imagine.
The most obvious path forward for our hyenas is really to just sort of mini-max all their traits for this ecosystem.
BoJack Horseman? No, I'm playing.
The Argentine hyena has a much thinner coat and a large set of ears. They are more streamlined and lightly built than spotted hyenas, generally around 2/3 the weight of their ancestors, which further makes them suitable for the more intense heat. During the day, Argentine hyenas mostly lounge around. In the dry season, this is usually in caves or in the dens that they dig for their cubs, which they now make larger to compensate. In the wet season, they'll sit under trees and in shallow water to relax and keep cool. They're more active at night, where there's less danger from the largest of predators like Herrerasaurus and Saurosuchus. While the hierarchy of their clans remains mostly the same, they are far less competitive with one another. There is still a female that gets the majority of the food, but even low-ranking males will get twice as much as they would if they were spotted hyenas. Clans will rarely reach more than 20 individuals, with the average size being between 9 and 12 adults, not including cubs. The conflicts with opposing clans remain pretty intense, though because the hyenas are more sparsely populated, these conflicts are not nearly as common as they were before.
I feel like that's a solid evolution.
A large scavenger hyena.
This one looks like a demon, bro. Come on.
Rely on their size to steal kills from other predators. Much like their cousin, the Crocuta rioja, they too have adapted thinner coats and larger ears to handle the heat. They exhibit some similar behavior like lounging most of the day and keeping cool under shade, but are far less active when it comes to hunting. A little less than half the food they eat, they will steal from animals like Herrerasaurus, other hyenas, or even Saurosuchus. Their imposing posture alone is usually enough to scare off most dinosaurs or
they look aki, bro.
hyenas. If all else fails, the
My goodness.
combat, depending on the size of their adversary.
hard.
While they are quite large, having no clan to support them makes injuries far more dangerous, and a solid bite from Saurosuchus could easily be their undoing. As for their reproduction, the gap between males and females has only grown larger. Males are barely half their size and will either live alone or with their brothers. When a female is ready to mate, she announces it by vocalizing a long, drawn-out whoop, which can be heard from almost 5 miles away. Any males that may have heard this call will come to her and fight for the right to mate with her. Soon after mating, the male will be shooed away, and she will be pregnant for about 6 months and birth 2 to 4 cubs. She'll love and take care of these cubs just like any other mother would, but will kick them out of her territory usually by the time male cubs reach full size and their female cubs continue to grow. Lutracuta emiliani.
Okay, this looks like a capybara, bro. Mixed with a bear.
Though their name suggests they might have a similar lifestyle or morphology to otters, they're more or less carnivorous capybaras. Like capybaras, they use their weight to sink down to the bottom of rivers, ponds, and lakes, bounding across and digging through the sediment to find food. They have wide, webbed feet, great for paddling and digging, and can hold their breath for more than 5 minutes. They also have bristly coconut fiber-like hairs that allow them to dry off quickly after resurfacing. They retain very powerful jaws that easily allow them to crack through the shells of mollusks or snails. But their diet also includes fish, temnospondylus, and even green algae or waterside horsetails. During the dry season, some Lutracuta clans may decide to weather the drought and temporarily adopt a lifestyle more typical of their cousins, but most will migrate closer to the coast where the drought is less intense. They may go as far as brackish or even saltwater environments where they encounter more dangerous animals. Their new semi-aquatic lifestyle has made the competition within the clans far less intense, working more as a collective instead of constantly fighting. Their clans are even smaller at 4 to 6 adult members, with females usually giving birth to only 1 offspring. With this, we see the morphological differences between the two sexes become less obvious. And the hyena otters even become monogamous, choosing one partner to mate with for life.
Wow. See, okay, that's kind of cool.
For tuning in. Real quick before you click off,
it's a good one, bro.
My good friend and creator of many madly Mesozoic scenes, such as these, is Taking Commissions. Links to his DeviantArt and Instagram are in the description, pinned comment, as well as on screen right now. He also has a YouTube channel, Cryptid Bestiary, where he'll be uploading illustrative profiles and homebrewed stories related to the many cryptids of the world.
Okay.
If you enjoyed the video, leave a like, a comment, and subscribe if you haven't already. And as we're at the end of December, this will likely be the last video of the year. So in case I don't see ya, Merry Christmas and have a Happy New Year.
Enjoy your festivities while you can, for soon you will be tested.
Trailer or kind of teaser or something for some, bro? Does this channel also have a curse just like Hivemind? They might have a curse too. I don't know, man. Dignan be up to stuff though. He probably cursed his channel. Hey man, I don't know, bro. W video though, my prediction was correct. They'd be chilling, low key. We love to see it, man. I ain't gonna lie. Yo, these videos are so entertaining, bro. I'm finna watch the video on graboids next, which I don't even know what that is.